How do you fix a defense that finished at the very bottom of the league, week after week, with the same problems showing up no matter the opponent? That's the question the Dallas Cowboys have been forced to confront, and the answer they're settling on isn't a single player or a single scheme. It's a full reset in how the defense is taught, coached, and developed. This matters because the Cowboys aren't just changing names on an organizational chart. They're trying to change the trajectory of a unit that allowed games to slip away, gave quarterbacks career days, and put an unsustainable burden on the offense. When a defense gives up over 30 points per game and leads the league in touchdowns allowed, the issues go deeper than play calling on Sunday. After a season defined by defensive disappointment, Dallas made the expected move by parting ways with Matt Eberflus. That decision wasn't dramatic or surprising. It was inevitable. What's more interesting is what followed. Brian Schottenheimer, now firmly in charge as head coach, and new defensive coordinator Christian Parker didn't look for quick fixes. They started building something new from the ground up. The first major step was bringing in Christian Parker to run the defense. That alone signaled a philosophical shift. Parker has been clear, according to reports, that he wanted a younger staff with coaches who have a track record of player development, not just big titles. From there, the Cowboys moved quickly to reshape the secondary, which had become the most glaring weakness on the roster. Dallas finished dead last in pass defense, allowing 251.5 yards per game through the air. They ranked lower than all 31 other teams in total points allowed. Quarterbacks routinely found open receivers, particularly on intermediate routes and in critical situations. Communication breakdowns, poor technique, and a lack of adjustment were visible on tape almost every week. That context makes the expected hiring of Derek Ansley more than just another assistant coach move. According to sources, the Cowboys are bringing in Ansley from Green Bay, where he served as the Packers' defensive pass game coordinator. This is a coach whose reputation has been built almost entirely on developing defensive backs and improving coverage units. Ansley's most recent stop in Green Bay offers an important contrast to what Dallas experienced. Under his watch, the Packers finished the regular season allowing just 311.8 total yards per game, good for 12th in the league. That's not elite, but it's stable. It's competent. And for a Cowboys defense that couldn't stop anyone consistently, competence would be a massive upgrade. It's also worth noting why this move is happening now. Dallas parted ways with Andre Curtis, clearing space for Parker to shape the staff in his own image. Ansley fits that vision. He's not a recycled name from decades past. He's a coach who has moved through college football and the NFL, adapting to different schemes, different players, and different expectations. Ansley's background matters here. He played safety at Troy, which often informs how he approaches coaching defensive backs. His coaching journey began in 2005 at the college level, working with the Huntington Hawks before moving on to larger programs. Over time, he developed a reputation for teaching fundamentals without sacrificing aggressiveness. His time at Alabama stands out. While there, Ansley helped develop elite defensive backs like Minkah Fitzpatrick and Marlon Humphrey. Those players didn't just succeed because of raw talent. They were technically sound, disciplined, and versatile. That's the kind of development Dallas has been missing, particularly with young players who entered the league with promise but failed to take consistent steps forward. After Alabama, Ansley moved into the NFL with the Oakland Raiders, now known as the Las Vegas Raiders, serving as defensive backs coach. That stint was brief, but it helped him transition to the professional level. He then spent 2 seasons with Tennessee before returning to the league again, this time with the Los Angeles Chargers. With the Chargers, Ansley's responsibilities grew. He eventually became their defensive coordinator in 2023, a role that forced him to think beyond position groups and manage an entire unit. That experience, even if imperfect, is valuable for a Cowboys staff trying to connect the back end of the defense with the front. When Ansley joined the Packers, he focused heavily on the pass game, aligning coverage rules with pass rush concepts. That's an area where Dallas consistently struggled. The Cowboys often blitzed without forcing quick throws, or played coverage without generating pressure. The lack of cohesion made life easy for opposing offenses. Dallas now views Ansley as a stabilizing presence, someone who can bring structure and clarity to a secondary that looked lost too often. With young talent already on the roster, the hope is that better coaching can unlock improvement without requiring a complete personnel overhaul. But Ansley isn't the only addition shaping this defensive rebuild. Brian Schottenheimer and Christian Parker are also moving toward finalizing another key hire in Ryan Smith, who will work with the secondary as well. According to ESPN's Todd Archer, the Cowboys have agreed to deals with both Ansley and Smith, signaling that the defensive staff is beginning to take form. Smith's path to Dallas is different, but equally relevant. He served as a cornerbacks coach at Northwestern University in 2022, before moving to the Arizona Cardinals in the same role. That jump from college to the NFL gave him immediate exposure to developing young corners at the professional level. What makes Smith particularly intriguing is what Arizona's defense accomplished late in the 2024 season. Over an 11-game stretch, the Cardinals ranked 4th in scoring defense, allowing just 19.6 points per contest. They also led the league in limiting touchdowns overall and through the air during that period. Those numbers don't tell the entire story, but they point to a unit that improved as the season went on. That's often a reflection of coaching. Players executed better, communicated more clearly, and played with greater confidence. For a Cowboys defense that seemed to regress as the season progressed, that contrast is striking. Smith has also been credited with the development of several high-level defensive backs. Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean are two names frequently mentioned when discussing his impact. Additionally, he helped turn Garrett Williams, a former third-round pick, into one of the league's most promising young corners. Development is the common thread here. Dallas isn't just hiring names. They're hiring teachers. The Cowboys have spent years investing draft capital in the defense, particularly in the secondary, without seeing consistent returns. That failure isn't always about talent evaluation. Sometimes it's about how players are coached once they arrive. Christian Parker's role in this cannot be overstated. As the new defensive coordinator, Parker is clearly focused on building a cohesive staff. He's targeting coaches who can connect with players, communicate expectations clearly, and adjust as the season unfolds. That approach contrasts sharply with what the Cowboys experienced under Eberflus. Under the previous regime, the defense often looked rigid. Adjustments came late, if at all. Opposing offenses identified weaknesses early and exploited them repeatedly. Whether it was zone coverage breakdowns or missed assignments in man coverage, the same issues resurfaced every week. By bringing in Ansley and Smith, Parker is signaling a willingness to evolve. Both coaches have worked in multiple systems. Both have experience developing young players. And both are entering a situation where expectations are high, but the opportunity to make an immediate impact is real. It's also important to recognize that these hires are part of a broader process. According to reports, the Cowboys plan to interview Pittsburgh Steelers linebackers coach Denzel Martin and Philadelphia Eagles assistant linebackers coach Ronell Williams. That suggests the overhaul isn't limited to the secondary. Linebacker play has been another area of concern for Dallas. Missed tackles, poor coverage in the middle of the field, and inconsistent run fits all contributed to the defense's struggles. Bringing in fresh voices at that level could further support Parker's vision. Brian Schottenheimer's influence looms over all of this. As head coach, he's responsible for setting the tone. By supporting Parker's desire to rebuild the staff with younger, proven coaches, Schottenheimer is making a statement about where the organization is headed. This isn't a conservative approach. It's not about maintaining continuity for the sake of comfort. It's about acknowledging that what existed before wasn't working and being willing to try something different. That kind of organizational self-awareness is rare, especially for a franchise with the Cowboys' history and expectations. Of course, coaching hires alone won't fix everything. Players still have to execute. Injuries will still happen. Opponents will still find ways to challenge the defense. But better coaching can narrow the margin for error. It can turn confusion into clarity and hesitation into confidence. The Cowboys' defense allowed 355, 2 yards per game last season, placing them among the league's worst units overall. They surrendered a league-high 60 touchdowns. Those numbers aren't just bad. They're historically damaging for a team with playoff aspirations. Fixing that requires more than a single offseason. It requires patience, alignment, and a clear developmental plan. The early signs suggest that Parker, Ansley, and Smith are aligned in their approach. They want to build fundamentals first and let complexity come later. Another subtle but important factor is communication. Defensive backs, in particular, rely heavily on clear communication to handle motion, bunch formations, and route combinations. Miscommunication was a constant issue for Dallas. Coaches who emphasize clarity and repetition can make a noticeable difference. Ansley's experience coordinating pass defense at the NFL level should help bridge the gap between scheme and execution. He understands how offenses attack coverages and how to counter those tendencies without overcomplicating assignments. That balance is critical, especially for younger players. Smith's recent success in Arizona adds another layer. He's seen firsthand how incremental improvement over the course of a season can transform a defense's identity. That perspective could be valuable as Dallas looks to avoid early season struggles that snowball into larger problems. None of this guarantees success. The NFL is too competitive for guarantees. But the Cowboys' approach this offseason reflects a recognition that defensive excellence starts with coaching. For too long, Dallas relied on talent alone, assuming players would figure things out on the field. What makes this moment interesting is how intentional the process appears to be. These hires weren't rushed. They weren't flashy. They were targeted. Each coach fills a specific need, and each aligns with Parker's emphasis on development and adaptability. As the defensive staff continues to take shape, attention will naturally turn to how these coaches collaborate. A cohesive staff can amplify individual strengths. A fragmented one can undermine even the best ideas. Early indications suggest Parker is prioritizing cohesion. Brian Schottenheimer's decision to empower his defensive coordinator is also worth noting. Head coaches often struggle to balance oversight with trust. By allowing Parker to build his own staff, Schottenheimer is placing responsibility where it belongs and setting clear expectations. The true test will come in training camp and early in the season. That's when coaching philosophies are put into practice. That's when players either buy in or push back. And that's when the defense's identity will begin to emerge. For Cowboys fans, patience will be required. A defense that finished last in multiple categories won't become elite overnight. But progress can show up in smaller ways. Fewer blown coverages, better third down efficiency, improved red zone defense. Those incremental improvements can change games. They can keep the offense from playing from behind. They can shift momentum in tight contests. And over time, they can restore confidence in a unit that has been a liability for too long. The hiring of Derek Ansley and Ryan Smith represents more than a staff shuffle. It's a philosophical reset. It's an acknowledgement that teaching, development, and adaptability matter just as much as scheme and talent. As the Cowboys continue interviews and finalize the rest of the defensive staff, the broader picture becomes clearer. Dallas isn't chasing headlines. They're chasing stability. And for a defense that has lacked it, that pursuit might be the most important move of all. So here's the question worth debating as this rebuild unfolds. Do you believe the Cowboys' focus on younger, development-driven defensive coaches is enough to turn this unit around? Or does the defense still need major personnel changes to truly compete?